It's summer. It's that time of year when we celebrate the red, white, and blue. Today we're going to be working on a bunting. And for that bunting, I am using flags, which I purchased at the dollar store. This project is both inexpensive and easy. I purchased 7 large flags and 6 small flags. The large flags had these staples on them, which we had to remove before we did anything with them. So my husband used these super, I don't guess they're sharp edged pliers to get those staples out without damaging that fabric at all. That was the key. We need that fabric to remain intact. Now comes the step of putting a top coat on all these little flags. And I am using Pentart glue and varnish for textile. And there's 2 reasons that I am putting this glue and varnish over both sides of the flag and really super saturating it. And one of the reasons is to make it waterproof so that it will be able to be outside. And the other reason is to seal those edges. You can tell that the flags are super, super light. And once they start to move around in the wind and stuff, you may see threads start to come apart. And I'm trying to prevent that from happening by sealing all those edges. And again, like I said, I'm saturating it both sides. Of course, this is what takes the longest. You have um, 13 flags to put a top coat on back and front and let them dry. So it takes a while. In fact, it's the longest time of the whole project is letting these dry. But I think it's going to work out really fun because I've done that before and it really makes a difference with the fabric. I purchased these little flags at the dollar store next to me, but if you don't have a dollar store next to you, I did put a link to my Amazon store where I put together a collection of anything you would need for this project. I am using Pentart textile glue and varnish, but I think that Mod Podge has a textile component and that would work just perfectly also. When I am putting the top coat on these, I am painting over the top part where they are actually woven through the wooden post, the wooden little dowel there, but I'm not saturating it because I do not want it to glue itself down to that wood there. So I'm mostly saturating the fabric, but I am trying to seal that top little, it's really a casing where the dowel goes through. Every one of these little flags has made in the USA across their little casing up at the top, which I thought was really fitting. Um, I get tired of using a little brush with these bigger flags and I pour some of my varnish out, get a bigger brush and try to move it along a little faster. It takes a while when you are painting fabric for the fabric to actually absorb it. And I have no idea what kind of fabric this is, but I also know that there is sizing in this to keep them stiff. So it's resisting the varnish just a little bit, but once I start working it in, it does just fine. Okay, they're all varnished and I am putting them on a piece of styrofoam and letting them dry thoroughly. I did go back and do both sides of every flag. And the next step is to heat set. The Pentart varnish actually says to heat set it so that it is waterproof. And like I said in the beginning, it's kind of important to me that this would be at least water resistant. So I am heat setting every single one of them. Again, it's going to take a little while. There's 13 individual flags. And what I use is I have a Cricut Easy Press and I just heat set each side. I think it's like 275 degrees each side at 10 seconds. And that's how I actually heat set my stamping also. And I have had no problem with it. I take out the dowels and I do not heat set that casing. I need that casing to stay rounded. I do not want to knife edge it and make it really flat by pressing it. So I'm careful not to press it at all. I am a pretty patriotic girl. I love the 4th of July. I love the parades. I've always loved fireworks and anything that has to do with celebrating the 4th. So I really liked working on this project and making a bunting, which consists of 13 American flags, which I didn't use that 13 on purpose. It was just all they had. And what I made is an 8-foot bunting. So when it was all done, it was 8 feet. I do use a simple press cloth in between the flag and the Cricut iron, and that makes it so that my iron is not right against the flag itself. It's just a simple piece of cotton fabric is what I use. And when I'm doing stamped items, I use the same thing. Once all the flags are heat set, it is time to assemble the bunting. So I have all my flags. I have 7 large ones, and they're not that large. They're 8 inches by 10 inch, but they're larger than the 4 by 6 inch ones. And I'm going to assemble them all and just start one at a time and weave them right onto a piece of twine. And what I'm using for twine, it is a polished hemp cord, and you will see how easily it just pushes, and it isn't even very stiff, but it goes, because I've left that casing up at the top still very rounded, it goes right through the casing on the top. So I start in the middle, I weave the cord through one of the larger flags and pull it all the way through till it's right in the middle. And then I just start weaving a small one, a large one, small one, a large one until I get to the end. Then start weaving through the other side, a small one next to the middle one, and all the way till I get to the end and use up all the flags. Now, I do the flags all going the same way, but you wouldn't have to do that. I just like them to be symmetrical, so you'll notice they all go exactly the same way. And it is super easy with this cord to get them all woven on. Really, the casing is just so easy. It even shocked me. I didn't think it would be that easy to weave them through, but super easy. And of course, getting close to the end, so I'm anxious to get these done. Even though I knew the bunting was going to finish at 8 feet wide, I used a lot more cording. I undid a lot more cording from the roll just to be sure. You never want to weave all of it together and then not have enough cording to finish putting the flags on. So always err on the side of excess when weaving the cording through for the bunting. I'm planning on saving my bunting for next year, and that's one of the other reasons why I really wanted to finish it with the varnish on top of the fabric so that it will hold up and still be good year after year. And there I am, finished all the way to the end with the last flag. Now, to stabilize these flags on the cord, I am taking a stapler, a handheld stapler, and I am putting a staple right through the middle of each one and making sure that I catch the cord in when I staple it. So I put, I'd say about a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch in between each flag, and then staple right through the cording, kind of doing it on a little angle to make sure that I get the casing and that cording. And I check every single one. So if the cording is not caught into the staple, I just will do it again, staple it again. I don't know if the flags would have moved around too much on that cording, but I just wanted to make sure that they remained in the spot that looked the best. And I wanted them all to be equal distance apart. I think before I put this bunting away for the season, I will probably go over it again one more time with another coat of varnish. I think it would be better to even make it just a little bit stiffer. So I'm going to go over it with another coat of varnish. The reason you use the textile varnish is to keep it pliable, but I also don't want it to be too pliable where it wrinkles up or curls up at the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and put another coat of varnish on it when I put it away. When I get to the end of the flags and they've all been stapled down, I'm going to tie a loop knot so that I have a loop at the very end, which I will then use to put a nail through or a tack, depending on where I'm going to hang it up, and put a loop knot on the other end also. And then it is all set for hanging up for the 4th of July. It's not quite the 4th of July yet, but I put my bunting on the railing of the shop and it's going to stay there. It's a fun bunting, nice and bright. Thanks for watching.